Hello everyone. In this lecture, I am going to solve the remaining three problems of RMO 2011. And here is a view of fourth problem. This is a nice combo problem. And in this problem, we are given a 20-sided convex polygon K with vertices A1, A2 up to A20 in that order. And we have to find out the number of ways in which three sides of K can be chosen so that every pair among them has at least two sides of K between them. Okay, fine. So first I'm going to draw the convex polygon having 20 sides. Uh, this is the first vertex A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. This is a vertex A20. This is A19 and up to so on. Okay, we have to select three sides under the constraint that every pair among them has at least two sides of K between them. This is the condition. Find the number of ways in which three sides of K can be chosen so that every pair among them has at least two sides of K between them. Okay, so what I am going to do, first step, select the first side in 27 ways. Select the first side out of 20 side in 27 ways because there is no restriction to select the first side. So we have the number of ways is 27, and suppose A1 A2 is selected. Suppose we have select A1 A2, and if A1 A2 got selected, then we cannot select A2 A3 as well as A3 A4 from the right side, and from the left side we cannot select A1 A20 as well as A20 A19. Second step, remove A2 A3 comma A3 A4 and A1 A20 comma A20 A19 as they cannot be selected. Okay, third step, now we have to select two more sides out of the remaining 15 sides. There are 15 sides remaining and we have to select two sides under the same constant. Now we have to select two sides out of the remaining 15 sides under the same constant. Under the same constant. Then number of ways to select two sides. Number of ways to select two sides equals to what? First, I am going to select two sides out of the remaining 15 sides with no restriction. If we select two sides out of the remaining 15, when there is no restriction, then number of ways is clearly 15C2. But in this counting, there is a case when both selected sides are consecutive, and there is one more case when there is exactly one side of K between the two selected sides. So we have to subtract these two cases from this counting. So I am going to select the case when both selected sites are consecutive. Okay. Uh, Look at the endpoint of these 15 sites. Here is A4 and here is some other vertex A19, and clearly these two endpoints are not coincident. So we can select two consecutive sites out of the remaining 15 sites is only 14 ways. Pay attention to this number because endpoints are not coincident. Therefore, two consecutive sites can be selected in only 14 ways. And if these two endpoints are coincident and these 15 sides form a closed polygon, then definitely the number of ways is 15. Okay, so there is a chance of mistake. So pay attention to this number. Now we have to select one more case in which there is exactly one side of k between the two selected sides, and this number is clearly 13. Okay, and that figures comes out to be 15. C2 is what? 15. C2 is 105, and 14 plus 13 becomes 27, and 105 minus 27, 100 minus 22, that becomes 78. Okay, now you can see 20C1 we can select first side in 27 ways, and the remaining two sides we can select in 78 ways. Therefore, number of ways to select three sides under the given constant equals to what? 20C1 into 78. 20C1 into 78. Okay, here is, that is 20 into 78. But look at this counting. Actually, we have done this job in two separate parts. What I have done, actually, we select the initial side in 27 ways, and then we select the remaining two sides. Okay, and this job is not handled in single stroke, so there is a chance of repetition. Okay, uh, I want to tell you about the repetition in the next slide. Suppose initially we select the site A1 A2, and then out of the remaining 15 sites we select A4 A5 and A9 A10. Okay, this is the first case. And suppose initially we select the site A4 A5, and out of the remaining 15 we select A1 A2 and A9 A10. Now you can check these two selections, whether these two selections are identical or different. You have to check this one. And also there is one more case when we select the initial site A9 A10, and out of the remaining 15 site we select A1 A2 and A4 A5. In my opinion, all three combinations becomes identical. But in the previous counting, we have considered these three as different selections. So in order to find the correct number of ways, we have to divide by 3 because these three combinations are identical selections, because same set of sites are selected A1, A2, A4, A5, A9, A10. And here also we have selected A1, A2, A4, A5, A9, A10 because we already know that in selection the order is immaterial. Okay, that's why these three selections are known as identical selection. Therefore, number of ways equals to what? 20 into 78 divided by 3. 3 2 just 6 and 3 6 just 18. 20 into 26. 26 2 just 52. The answer is 520. Okay. Now we can solve this problem by another method, and I am not going to write the complete details. I am going to write the final result. Number of ways equals to what? Select the initial side in 27 ways, and in the polygon something like that. Suppose initially we select A1, A2, A3, A4, this one is A5, this one is A6, A7, this one is A20. Suppose we select A1, A2, and out of the remaining 15 we select this side and this one. And suppose there are x gaps between first and second selected sides, y gaps between second and third selected side, and z gaps. Y gap B means number of sides of polygon K. Z gap between third and first selected side. Okay, okay, we have selected three sides out of the 20 sides. Therefore, the number of gaps is what? Number of gaps is actually 17. The number of ways is 27 into we have to count the number of ways in which this sum becomes 17. X plus y plus z equals to 17. Under the same constraint, x should be greater than equal to 2, y should be greater than equal to 2, and z should be greater than equal to 2. And also in this counting manner, each way of selection is counted thrice, because we have here also we have done the job in two separate parts, because first we select the first side and then we select the remaining two sides. So there is a maximum chance of repetition. So in order to find the correct answer, we have to divide by 3, because each way of selection is counted thrice. Now we have to find the number of solution of this equation x plus y plus z equals to 17 under this constraint x, y, z all greater than equal to 2. So I am going to use here beggar's method. First we assign amount 2 to each of the variable x, y and z. Assign 2 to x, 2 to y and 2 to z. Okay. Now amount 6 has been assigned, so the remaining amount is what? 17 minus 6, that comes out to be 11. And this amount has been considered as identical coin. Suppose this one is a identical coin, and x, y, z, these three variables are supposed as beggars. And you can suppose that we have to distribute 11 identical coins among three beggars, such that each receiving none, one or more. If we assign a two value to each of the variable, then there is no restriction on x, y and z. The variable x, y and z becomes non-negative, and in this case the number of ways of distribution 11 identical coin among three beggars is clearly 13C2, and we have to divide by 3 because there is a repetition. So 13C2 is equal 13 into 12 upon 2 into 3. 3 to the 6, 2 to 12. And here we also get the same answer, 20 multiplied by 26 as we get here. Therefore the answer is same, 520. Okay, let us move to the next problem. This is a nice geometry problem. In this problem, we have given a triangle ABC, and let B, B1, C, C1 be respectively the bisectors of angle B, angle C, with B1 on AC and C1 on AB. Okay. Uh, we have given a triangle ABC. This point is A, this is B, and this is C. B, B1. This is a bisector B, B1. These two angles are each B by 2, and this point is C1, and this is the angle bisector of angle C. These two angles are each C by 2. Okay, and clearly the point of intersection these two bisector is the in center I, in center of the triangle. Now what we are given, E and F is the feet of the perpendiculars drawn from A on to B, B1 and C, C1. Okay, uh, E is actually the feet of perpendicular from A to the bisector B, B1. Mm. Okay, this is the point E, and F be the foot of perpendicular from A to the bisector of angle C. This is the point F. And suppose D is the point at which the incircle of triangle AB touches AB. And we have to show this result. We have to prove that AD is equals to EF. And we are already familiar with the length of AD. Actually, D is what? D is the touch point of the incircle triangle ABC with the side AB. Then we are already familiar with this length. AD is what? AD is actually S minus A. By elementary geometry, we can also prove this result. AD is S minus A. Now the major task is to find the length of EF, and we have to show that the length of EF is also S minus A. So I am going to join E and F. Now we have to find out the length EF of this triangle AEF. So what I am going to do, take the reflection, or suppose let M and N be the reflections of A with respect to BB1 and CC1. M and N is the reflection of A with respect to BB1 and CC1. Then clearly M and N lies on BC. The region is very much clear. Suppose if we extend AE, and suppose when AE extended meets the line BC at this point M. Okay, now we have to show that M is a reflection. M is a reflection of A with respect to BB1. You can see these two triangle ABE is congruent triangle MBE. MB. The reason is very much clear because this angle is B by 2. Here this angle is B by 2. Angle BEA is 90, and here angle BEM is also 90, and side B is common to both the triangle. Therefore angle side angle congruency theorem, we can say that these two triangles are congruent, and if these two triangles are congruent, then clearly the length AE becomes equal to the length EM, and therefore we can say that M is a reflection of A with respect to bisector BB1. Okay, these two triangles are congruent, so if these two triangles are congruent, then by CPCT we can also say that AB equals to BM. AB equals to BM. And by similar argument, we can also say that the reflection of A with respect to bisector CC1, that is point N, this also lies on BC. And the reason is what? Because the triangle AFC is congruent triangle uh, NFC. And if these two triangles are congruent, then AF equals to what? AF equals to FN, and by the same reason, by angle side angle congruency theorem, these two triangles are congruent, and if these two triangles are congruent, then we can write AC equals to CN. These are the two important results. This is 1, this is 2. Now E is actually what? E is the midpoint of side AM, and F is the midpoint of side AN in triangle AMN. By midpoint theorem, EF is actually what? EF is half times MN. EF is half MN. Now, in order to find EF, we have to find out the length MN. So what we can do, we can write Mn as Bm plus Cn minus Bc. Okay, you can check this one. Bm length plus Cn length minus Bc is actually Mn, and we can use this relation, these two relation. Bm is actually what? Bm is actually AB, and Cn is equal to what? Cn is AC minus BC. Therefore, Mn is what? AB is C, AC is B, BC is A. Mn equal to CB plus C minus A. This implies EF is what? EF equals to B plus C minus A by 2, and this is clearly the length of AD, because AD is S minus A. S is what? S is A plus B plus C by 2 minus A, and this length is clearly B plus C minus A by 2. EF is equals to AD, hence we are done. And in the next slide, I am going to prove the same result by another method. This is the point A, this is B, and this is C. This is the bisector of angle B. This is the bisector of angle C, and clearly this point of intersection is the incenter point of intersection of Indian angle bisectors. Okay, and E is the foot of perpendicular from A to the bisector BB1. This point is E, and this one is the point F. And now if we join A to I, then we can observe that angle AFI equal to angle AEI equals to 90 degree. If these two angles are 90 degree, it means that the line segment AI subtends equal angle 98 point F and E. Therefore, we can say that these 4 points are concyclic because opposite angles are supplemented. These 4 points A, F, I, E. These 4 points are concyclic. Now there is also a role of point D. We have given that the incircle of triangle ABC touches the side AB at point D. Suppose D is somewhere here. This is the point D. Okay, and if we join point D to the incenter of triangle, D is actually the point of tangency of the incircle with the side AB. Then also this angle is 90. Also angle ADI is 90, and from these three results we can say that this sign is intersection. These three results taken together imply points A, D, F, I, E. These 5 points are concyclic. It means there is just a circle which passes through all these 5 points, and I am going to draw the circle, possible circle, uh, something like that. Okay, fine. Okay, this is a circle which passes through these 5 points. This is the point HDD. I am going to write point D here, this one. Now in triangle BIC, this angle is what? This angle is B by 2, this angle is C by 2. Therefore, what is the amount of angle BIC? BIC is actually 180 minus B by 2 plus C by 2, and that comes out to be 90 plus A by 2. and if this angle is 90 plus a by 2, then clearly opposite angles are equal. We can, if we join f and e by means of line segment, then clearly angle FIE is also 90 plus a by 2. But points AF, AFIE are concyclic. These 4 points are concyclic. This will imply angle FAE. FAE equals to what? FAE equals to 90 minus a by 2, because this angle plus this angle, sum of these two opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral is 180, and if angle FI is 90 plus a by 2, then definitely angle FAI becomes what? 90 minus a by 2. Okay, now now look at triangle ADI. Now in triangle ADI, uh, angle DAI is what? Angle DAI, actually AI is what? AI is a bisector of angle A, therefore angle DAI is a by 2, and angle ADI is 90 because D is a touch point. Therefore we can say that angle AID, angle AID is what? 180 minus 90 plus a by 2, and that angle is clearly 90 minus a by 2. Suppose this is the relation 1 and this is the relation 2. Therefore from 1 and 2 we can write angle FAE equal to angle AID. Now look at this circle. For this circle, EF and AD are the chords, and these two chords subtends equal angle at point A and I. Therefore, we can say that the chords EF and AD subtends equal angle. The chords EF and AD of same circle subtends equal angle at the circumference of circle. Therefore, we can say that if angle is same, then obviously chord length must be same. So here is another proof of the given problem: AD equals to EF. Okay, now move to the last problem, and this is a very elementary and very simple problem on inequality. Actually, in this problem we have to find a pair, all pairs x, y of real numbers satisfying the given equation. Since this quantity is always positive, this is always positive, so I am going to use here AMGM inequality. Using AM greater than GM on 16 raised to the power x square plus y and 16 to the power x plus y square. Then AM is clearly what? 16 to the power x square plus y plus 16 to the power x plus y square upon 2. This is the arithmetic mean. And what is the geometric mean? 16 to the power x square plus y into 16 to the power x plus y square. And this geometric mean can be further written as 16 to the power x square plus x plus y square plus y. Okay, we are given the value of this sum. This sum is actually what? This sum is equals to 1 in the parent equation, you can see, and by cross multiplying by 2 we can write this result as 1 is greater than equal to 2, and on taking the square root of this picture we can write 2 into 4 raised to the power x square plus x plus y square plus y. Okay, now look at these two quadratic expression. One quadratic is an x and the second quadratic is in variable y, and I want to make a perfect square in this quadratic expression. So we need to add 1 by 4 in each quadratic expression. So we can write it as x plus half whole square plus y plus half whole square, and 1 by 4 becomes minus half. 1 is greater than equal to 2 into 4 raised to the power x plus half whole square plus y plus half whole square into 4 raised to the power minus half. But 4 raised to the minus half becomes what? Half. Half and 2 cancel out. And 4 raised to the power any quantity. This quantity is always, because this is always greater than equal to 0. This whole sum of square is greater than equal to 0. Therefore, this quantity is always greater than equal to 1. So here only equality exists. And equality exists if this sum of square becomes 0, x plus half plus y plus half, because left hand side is 1 and RHS is greater than equal to 1, and so we can say that there is only a case of equality, and this equality exists if this sum of square becomes 0, and sum of square becomes 0 in only the case when each bracketed quantity is individually 0. This quantity is 0 and this 0 simultaneously. Therefore we get the solution x equals to y equals to minus half. We can say that the given equation has a unique solution. Also, we can back check this solution in the parent equation. If we put x and y in the parent equation here and here, and then what happens to the exponent? X square becomes 1 by 4 and y becomes minus 1 by 2. X is 16, it will be minus 1 by 4. This quantity becomes half, and similarly this becomes half. Half plus half is 1. Okay, so this equation has a unique solution, x and y both equals to minus half. Hence we are done, and thanks for watching.